This is Duncan.
This is Mason.
And welcome back to The Anatomy of Game,
where we talk about games.
Presumably.
Yeah.
It's been a little while.
Yeah, we're not going to address it. It's been about 5 months. This is us addressing it, and we're not going to talk about it anymore. Doug, what are you eating?
A little block of cheese, actually. You want some?
No, I'm lactose intolerant. All right, well,
we took a break. We're
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, I said we weren't going to address it.
Well, I'm addressing it.
Yeah,
Okay.
why? I just said, literally, the podcast's been 30 seconds, which means in this past 30 seconds.
We're in the middle of a van, okay? I think we can stretch the rules a little bit.
We're broadcasting live on recording from the Anatomy of Game van. It's actually Duncan's van.
It's smashing.
Yeah, it's great.
So what have you been playing, Mason?
Lately I've been playing Gunscape, which is like
Oh yeah, you talked to me about that.
yeah, Gunscape is I was a little wary of it because I was on the PlayStation 4 store because that's the console that I have. And I saw this game. It's like, oh look, it's a block-based, low-res building game in first person. Great. Minecraft ripoffs are coming to PlayStation. And I looked into it and I was like, actually, this is very different. It's basically you create kind of like an N64, PS1 era.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
First-person map, and it can be, it's like a shooter game. It can be either like a multiplayer arena where you can go head-to-head with your friends or people online, or you can make like a single-player world with, like a point A, point B you got to get to, and like classic N64 style, you just kill everything and get to the end of the level, and that's the level. So, it's got that kind of nostalgia feeling.
Did you pay for it?
Yeah, I did. It was like $15, I think. It wasn't that bad. And you can post maps online, so even if you're not good at making those maps, you can go online, you can play good maps that people have made.
Fred, you don't see a map editor in shooters very often.
Not really, and it's a game that is basically the center of the game is the map.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is very
cool.
interesting. As far as how it is, I would say the game is kind of it's fine. When it comes to editing the map, I feel like there aren't a lot of options for stuff. Like there's some balancing issues. Like you get guns, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And other weapons, and it has one of my favorite things, which is hit values. Like when you shoot something, you hit something, it gives you a number for the for how powerful the hit is. I love when games do that. It's one of my favorite things. For whatever, it's like my kryptonite.
I'm glad we're both currently enjoying games with that
with
in
hit
it.
value. Yeah, we'll get to yours next. It's got hit values in it, but the thing is it kind of shows how unbalanced the game is, because when you're just with fist, your hit value is 20, and a knife, the hit value is like 8. And there are some guns where the hit value is like 2 or 3. And it's like, I am actually better off running around punching people. So it's kind of imbalanced, and the AI is really bad, which these old games tended to be, but it's...
Well, that's like classic N64 stuff
yeah,
there,
but it seems like lazy bad, not like I feel like they just kind of tacked it on. It's like, we got all this stuff, so AI is really basic, and there you go.
I thought you said the game was good.
It's interesting. It's not necessarily good.
It's enthralling.
It's enthralling. No, I'm kind of mixed on where I feel about it, because in some ways I'm like, oh, this is great. In other ways it's like, this is it's got a lot of interesting things that are done in what I feel is kind of a mediocre way. I feel like the selection of stuff you get to use, it's not great.
I'm sorry you don't play games you're in love with, because that's what I do.
I'm trying to find new stuff, trying to keep fresh.
Keep your mind off Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, which... In gaming news, Kingdom Hearts 3 still not out. That's all for gaming news. But no, Gunscape. That's it's the game I've been playing.
You have to show it to me sometime, because I feel like it's one of those games I really have to just sit down and at least see it, probably play it to really understand.
Yeah, no, I'd recommend just checking it out. It's interesting. Maybe they'll update it. Maybe they'll improve. Maybe they'll make a second one or something that's better. Because it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I like this, and this. I just wish it was done better. Anyway, what have you been playing?
Well, bit of Minecraft and Alien as usual, 2 of my top faves, but
Sure.
Garden Warfare 2 just came out. Mm-hmm. Speaking of games that kind of had this and that, that people, fans of the game liked, but they needed, improvements on the game. Garden Warfare 2 it's been a trip, man. You played it with me a bit.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
So much improvements. You got the whole level up system involved. You got the homeworld hub map. it's a blast. There's so much more like playtime value in this one. Like,
hit values too.
yeah.
You shoot something, you see a number. It's like that's how hard you hit them. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. It is great seeing that on screen.
Yeah.
There's just something about that.
Really lets you kind of measure out stuff. It's like, oh, this class is better. This class is worse.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, this hits harder, but it's slower. And like you can actually kind of think about it. It's like, because I play lots of shooting games in the past where it's like, I guess I kind of know how strong this is.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you're wrong.
Yeah. You actually get like visual.
Yeah, representation of your ability, which is nice.
But like, cause you played the original one with me, we actually have we have a Let's Play on our channel of it, right?
we certainly do.
I mean, what's your opinion on it? Like, since you've played the old one and the new one, are you happy with the changes? Like, did it kind of fulfill like the void that the first one left? With things that needed to be added in the game.
Well, the first one is a multiplayer based game. They both are.
Right. Yeah.
And the new one has more single player aspects that you can do, but I think the focus is still multiplayer. And I think the first one, whereas I liked everything that was in it, I felt it was kind of bare bones.
Yeah.
Like it was like it needed more things that it just didn't have. And this one is just so full of stuff. More modes, more classes, single player stuff you can do, more collectibles, more systems in place.
Yeah.
I feel like it's enthralling.
It's a great game in my eyes, but if anything, the game really makes me pumped for the third one because they did a lot of cool things with this one. But I mean, I've played it a lot more than you, so like I'm sure there's more I could say about it.
Sure.
There is a lot more content with this one, but it's still like for the super fans who are playing this and trying to get the most out of the game as fast as possible and efficiently as possible. Trying to be the best in the game and shit. It kind of runs dry a little quick. Not as quick as the first one at all, but like I can still see okay, I see where this is going, and I'm kind of like. I don't know. It's one of those games where like once you get into the zone, you can kind of see the end of the road.
Yeah.
And like. That can be a little disappointing in a game when like you're on the right track in a game, but you can kind of see exactly where it's going, and it's like at some point it'll be done and over. But nonetheless, very happy with Garden Warfare 2.
Might have a review of that coming at you at some point.
Yeah, I've been recording some gameplay, kind of getting prepared for a review. I'll probably end up tackling that.
If you watch my Firewatch review, which as it says, like 30 of you did. Or maybe it was one person 30 times. Yeah, thanks.
It was me.
It was you. Damn it. Damn it. No, but so that might be coming up. We'll see. But yeah, so Garden Warfare 2. Should people check it out?
Yes, it's out now. It's a full price title, but rightly so this time. The initial installment. Garden Warfare was full price as well, but this is definitely more bang for your buck. If you like wacky third-person shooters and just having a blast and a kooky time in a game, definitely check out Garden Warfare 2.
So that's a plug. Buy Garden Warfare 2. If Gunscape sounds interesting, buy it. If it doesn't sound interesting, probably don't buy it. Probably won't like it. Alright, so on to our main topic, which is Flash games. Flash games, for the uninitiated, are online games run traditionally through Flash Player.
Oh, come on, Mason. Everyone who's listening to a podcast knows what a Flash game is. That's so old school.
What about our loyal listeners who are like, Flash games? I don't know, but it's anatomy of game. Man, that Mason, he's great. No one's ever said that.
Well, I guess we do kind of got to give the anatomy of the Flash game here.
God damn it. Don't plug...
It's in our name. We have to. You're right. I'm giving you permission to continue. I'm shutting up so you can. No, seriously. Like Flash games. Let's talk about it.
Okay, Flash games. Like I said, for the uninitiated, are games on the internet run through Flash, not like MMOs. Not virtual chat rooms.
Chat rooms.
Yeah, you ever played was it fucking IMVU? Which was just like you had a 3D avatar.
No, I had heard of that. I've never.
You could basically go on like random chats with people, but you had like a 3D avatar that you could like
a sprite. You just move around, like
kind
of like a Club Penguin kind of deal. Like
kind of,
but more chat.
Yeah, and you could like make a room, and like you could actually like make your own place that you were kind of hanging out. You could buy assets.
But those weren't made in Flash.
No, that's why I'm not talking about them. But I guess we are.
Goddamn.
Let's say excluding that shit. Flash games. If you were ever a kid, maybe for you, your exposure to Flash games was like fucking DisneyChannel.com and playing the games, or CartoonNetwork.com. Not knocking on that.
Very affiliated with the internet here.
Yeah, a lot of fun had on those. So we're just be talking about that because I think it's a topic that people kind of glaze over. I think
it's more than that. I haven't heard anybody talk about a Flash game since I was like 12.
A couple people will do like Let's Plays of Flash games from time to time. Like Markiplier does them from time to time, stuff like that. But,
really?
Yeah, he's done like a couple of like the Last Stand games and some of those point and click Flash games. But for the most part, they don't get touched. I almost like to think of it like porn. Like I feel like everyone has played Flash games. And no one will talk about it.
Right. You remember how cool they were back in the day? I feel like everyone was fucking talking about Flash games.
They're badass, man. Like, okay. So, story time. Let's talk about kind of our introductions.
All right.
To Flash games, because you want to go or should I go?
I'll go. I mean, Flash games were one of my very first kind of introductions to like video games in general. I grew up with a PlayStation 1. And besides that, I had a limited supply of games that, at the point when I had discovered Flash games, I think all I had was Spyro and maybe like the second one or something. But let's see. Through a friend, I had discovered a website called Neopets.com. That was one of my very first websites dealing with, games on the internet, which, are Flash games.
Sure.
Neopets.com, and also there's a lot of different websites out there for just like, because Neopets is more of like, it's like a social media / like text adventure / Flash game gallery. Like,
yeah, it's got a lot going on.
Yeah, like, and I was really drawn to that website just because it had the variety of features on it.
Sure.
But I mean, this is a long time ago. We're talking about Neopets here. Like, that website is still up, dude. I checked my Neopets like a week ago. I can't believe that. It looks the exact same, too. You know how Facebook went through like 5 different generations of like how it looked and stuff? Like, Neopets.com looks the exact same. It's crazy.
That's pretty sweet.
But, like other websites, Addicting Games. That's like the Pornhub of Flash games.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, I guess we're going with the porn comparison. Everyone knows where Duncan goes. No, I mean, I'd say Addicting Games. I mean, they had like a sponsorship with Nickelodeon for a while. I don't know if you remember.
I think Addicting Games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty actually. I think Neopets is as well.
Yeah. So I mean,
but I think the Addicting Games affiliation with Nick was actually more recently, wasn't it? Like, it was the past like 5 years or something.
Yeah, It's 5 years ago. Sounds about right. But like that's kind of what I'm saying. Like Addicting Games was like. It is one of the most popular.
I mean, Nick.com. Yeah. In general, like I went there a lot too.
Yeah, a lot of those kids' channels had websites.
Yeah, Cartoon Network as well.
Talk about that.
Definitely. What about you? Where were you going when you were playing Flash games back in the day?
All right. Well, I guess if you want to be technical, my first exposure to Flash games would probably be from like CartoonNetwork.com.
Okay.
Because they used to have fucking commercials, if you remember.
I remember the Billy and Mandy commercials.
Go online, play like the Billy and Mandy video game. Based on this episode you're watching,
I remember like a Samurai Jack one and stuff.
So many. Dude.
Yeah.
CartoonNetwork.com had actually some of those badass like kid show Flash games because it seemed like those games had a lot of effort actually into them. Like I remember like I could go to CartoonNetwork.com and actually spend fucking hours playing those games.
So, yeah, a lot of them actually felt like the ones who made it were fans of the show, right? Like
you had the Billy and Mandy games, which were really great. I remember there was like a. Do you remember how it used to be Grim and Evil?
Grim and Evil.
Yeah, it wasn't just grim; it was grim and evil, and there was like an evil brain, and it was like in a bear or something, and like there was Scar, who was on Billy and Mandy for a few episodes as well. He was like his right hand man.
You said it used to be like that.
Yeah, it used to be Billy and Evil. Not Billy. It used to be Grim and Evil was like the show, and
that was the name of the show.
Yeah, it would start.
I don't remember that at all.
Have like
I do remember those characters.
You have like a 15-minute Grim section and a 15-minute like it was Evil Con Carne, I think his name was, and you have like a 15-minute Evil segment.
Huh.
And they'd be kind of paired together, and then Evil kind of got kicked, and it was just the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, which was the better show.
That's weird, because I remember seeing the pilot for that show, and it showed, remember the whole limbo thing?
Yeah, with the hamster.
Was that something they brought later? Or was that the actual pilot for...
That was the pilot,
Grim and Evil or whatever?
That was, I think, that was the pilot for Grim Adventures. I think it was like... I think they're from the same guy, because they had the same art style. And I think he had these two ideas, and he pitched them both, and I think they just kind of put them together.
Okay.
And it was like, there's your show. And eventually Grim took off, and Evil kind of fell. But I remember there was like an Evil game, it was like almost like if you ever played fucking Bowman.
Yeah,
it was like that. Like you had an evil base, and the other side had an evil base. And
every Flash website's got a version of Bowman. Yeah. In fact, there's plenty of like Flash games that have different replicas of that game, like all over the place.
Yeah, but it was like that. But CartoonNetwork.com, they had a lot of killer games. I don't know if they still have them. I actually kind of want to check it out. Kids Next Door had some badass games.
Yeah, I remember those. It was a badass show.
Yeah. And Nickelodeon.com had some cool stuff, as I recall.
Yeah, I love their Avatar games.
Yeah, I remember Disney Channel had a couple of cool things, and then a lot of really shitty, gimmicky things. Like, some shit that was like almost like DVD game level bad.
I never went on Disney, man. I was too afraid of getting like sparkles on my fingertips or something like that.
Lilo and Stitch had a couple of good games on DisneyChannel.com. Other than that, it's iffy. But, as a kid, like, that's what I knew Flash games for. I didn't realize until much later, I might have been 10 or 11, that I found out, like, you could have Flash games for things that weren't from, like, TV shows.
Uh-huh.
It's like, they put games on the internet that aren't, like, from shows. Like, someone made them, and they're still free? Like, it's not advertising anything, it's still fucking free? And that blew my fucking mind, I think, because I was looking... At the time, I was getting really into, like, classic games.
Uh-huh.
Like, I really wanted to find, like, arcade games on the internet. So I looked up arcade games online.
Sure.
And I ended up at arcadetown.com.
Arcade Town.
Mm-hmm. Which is not...
I've not heard of that one.
I mean, it's not one of the bigger ones. It's very interesting because it has Flash games. It also has games you could download on it, which you kind of don't see together. It's an okay site. It's not great, but...
I wouldn't download any of them.
No. And some of them you had to pay for, too. But, like, they had a lot of, like, classic Flash games on that website that I ended up playing. And from there, like, you'd play a game and you'd get, like, a logo for, like, a studio at the beginning. And it'd be, like, from the studios at freeonlinegames.com or from fucking Addicting Games or Armor Games or whatever.
Right.
And through that, I found all these other websites.
Okay. Which are...
Armor Games was the one that I still will check out from time to time. I like Armor Games. It's kind of got that YouTube quality style where it's got a rating system, and you can have like the thumbs up and the thumbs down. You get a percentage.
Yeah, I feel like they're pretty up there with like Addicting Games.
Yeah, and you get actually like a play count. So you're like, oh look, this is how popular this is, and so that's interesting. You
remember Ninja Kiwi?
Ninja Kiwi, yes, I do.
Such a weird company.
Let's see. I think it was Crazy Monkey Studios was another one. Fucking X-Gen Studios is they're one of those people.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
They're the people who do fucking Territory War, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we played Territory War. That was
the last Flash game we played together.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too many we could play, and we'll get to there. But I remember I was a kid, and I just want to look up arcade games online, because like you, I was limited with the video game systems I had. I got to have a PS2. Right. But even then, like, I had, like, 2 or 3 games.
I had one, too, but that was later.
Yeah. I had, like, 2 or 3 games on it, because we were, like, really poor. So it's like, I've already beaten these games.
One of those had to be Kingdom Hearts.
That was later, actually, but still. So I'd beaten the games, and I'm like, well, I'm looking for arcade games. I want to play something, because I beat all my fucking video games. And I found Flash games, and I was like, I opened the door to this whole new world of really cheap games.
Right.
I mean, like, cheaply made games. They're all free. But, like, some of them were great, and some of them were really shitty.
Are they really that cheap to make? Like,
I mean, considering...
Fuck it, let's make a Flash game. I got $5 in my pocket.
Well, I know a lot of the tools for making them are free. Like, you can get a lot of game...
Well, they got all kinds of shit now. The Game Maker and all that. Like...
So, I mean... I don't know... Oh, jeez, I'm yawning. I'm not that fucking tired. No, but... they were free, and a lot of them were of dubious quality. Some of them were actually quite good. But so I was kind of open to this world, and for a while, like, Flash games were the only thing I played for a little bit as a kid. Like,
yeah, I remember I went on I went on like sprees. Like I'd play like basically like you're saying, only Flash games for an extended period of time, and and then go back to like the console and stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, I was always, especially once YouTube rolled around, which it really hadn't exploded yet. So it started in 2004.
I remember before that, like before it exploded, my mom was like really cautious about YouTube.
Yeah. So you couldn't get game news, through easy sources like on YouTube. Like now, you're curious about a new game, you got all the information about it on YouTube, and you can watch people play it.
You can just Google it on YouTube.
Yeah. Basically, and you can watch people play the game.
Yeah. It's
so
called a Let's Play.
Yeah, which we've done. But at the time, like if I heard about a game, like saw a commercial, I might get hyped for it. But now with the way it works, I'm always hyped for a game that's about to come out. But there would be periods of time where it's like, there's nothing on PS2 I really want right now.
Yeah.
I'd be playing fucking Flash games.
You'd have to see it on TV.
Yeah. You would, or you'd have to see it in like a magazine if you had magazines that you were subscribed to or something.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Yeah, I had Game Informer for a little while. I have it again.
Yeah, I remember that. Like every game that I had asked for as a child and gotten, I saw on TV. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Or yawning a fucking again. No, or you saw it at the store. That would be another thing. Like maybe you saw it on the shelf.
Yeah, I wasn't really going to video game stores that much as a kid.
You could have Walmart or Target. They had game sections.
I suppose.
I remember they used to always have it in the case. Like now they don't really have it in the cases anymore. Back in the day at Target, especially, like you'd have the case where all the games were.
What, like a glass case kind of thing? They still do that.
Not as much now. Now they have them on shelves now. So now
maybe at like a GameStop.
No, like at Target, you go. They have games on shelves now.
Well, I went to Walmart and they still have the case.
Yeah. It's not as common as kind of what I'm getting at, but like you'd either have to see it at the store, or see a commercial for it. Basically, or else you didn't want it. So Flash games, it was like, oh look, there's this endless directory and it's always new games. It's like every week there's like 4 fucking new games and I can play them all for free.
There's more than that every week.
Yeah, I mean, but different sites is kind of your update.
Yeah.
Like I think Not Doppler was fucking every Tuesday or whatever, and whatever. And so it was kind of a weird thing because when you're a kid, you got no money. That's
unless you have allowance.
Yeah, which I didn't. I didn't. Yeah. Fucking poor. So when you're a kid, you tend to have no money, and when you have no money,
you tend to beg your parents for shit.
Yeah, and they tend to say no. And because that happened, I gravitated toward Flash games, which was perfect for me. I feel like children, kind of the key audience for Flash games because they're free, which is why I think stuff like DisneyChannel.com, CartoonNetwork.com, Nickelodeon.com had Flash games, which basically kind of advertised their shows. And it works so well because kids don't have any money, so they'll go on, they'll play these free games, and they'll get hyped for the shows, and they'll watch the shows more, and then they can get more for advertising on those shows.
Yeah, it's great how accessible they are.
Yeah.
Like, even to this day.
And so, obviously that was like a candy shop for me as a kid. It was like fucking free candy. Even if it was like shitty budget candy, it was still free. And don't get me wrong, there are some Flash games that were incredible.
This is very true.
Like, you ever played a Fancy Pants World?
It sounds super familiar, but I don't know if I'd played it or not.
It's like Mario and Sonic, but he's an original character.
Mario and Sonic? Like, put together?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, because, like, he has the, like, momentum.
Picturing that, it looks ugly.
No, it doesn't look ugly.
I know what you meant, but, like, I imagine Sonic and Mario morphed together as one.
Yeah, no, I'm not feeling it. The Sonic fans are going crazy. That's their new original character.
Hey, maybe that could revitalize the Sonic.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that in the future. No, but Fancy Pants Adventure was one game that was like that. It was like his original character. He was kind of a stick man in in orange pants that had kind of spiky hair.
Oh, you know what? I know exactly what you're talking about.
He had run momentum like Sonic.
The character I'm picturing. I see him. I know who he is. I don't remember the gameplay really, but like it sounds about right.
Yeah, but Fancy Pants Adventure is a game that I was like, I would actually like a full version of this game, please. Like something that doesn't take an hour to beat. Because it was like an interesting game that they made. The Last Stand was a game series I played a lot. Zombies. It was like a kind of... You had a lot of base defense games online. It's a lot of games where you stay in one place and you defend something. And Last Stand was like that. You were a guy behind a barricade trying to protect yourself every night from zombies. But then during the day, like, you'd allot time to go build barricades up or look for supplies and survivors and stuff. You could actually,
Yeah, a lot of these games had a lot of a lot of thought and stuff put in them.
Yeah.
Like, you remember Shift?
Shift. No, I don't think I ever played Shift. What's Shift?
Shift. That game was so innovating.
Okay.
It was a 2D platformer.
Okay.
Where like all of the things you were platforming on and you were like black. You were like a stick figure, and it was like a black silhouette of stuff. And you had a white background. But when you click the Shift key, the entire screen would flip upside down, and all of a sudden, everything that was white in the background is now the platforms.
Okay, that's pretty groovy.
Like,
that's pretty great.
Yeah, and you have to use it as a tool to solve puzzles to get out of the room and proceed to the next level.
A lot of puzzle games too. You get defense games, you get puzzle games.
Where would tower defense be today, or at any point without Bloons Tower Defense,
or any of the number of amazing Flash game tower defense games? Like,
that had to be where tower defense, that genre of game started. Had to be in a Flash game.
I'm trying to think of maybe like what tower I think they were like on computers, like RTS style or whatever. But like,
I mean,
kind of. I mean, I think. I don't know.
What constitutes as a tower defense game? Like, that could be a lot of things.
Yeah, I'll look it up right now. But yeah, tower defense games, if they're not from the internet, they certainly they
thrived there.
Yeah, they did definitely thrive, and I think the tower defense genre was sort of cemented via the internet, which is something, there's just an abundance of Flash game tower defense, not just tower defense, but like I'm saying, defense games in fucking general.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
Storm the House.
Yeah.
Last Stand, like I was talking about, fucking some other third thing.
Age of War.
Oh, the Age of War game.
I guess it's kind of considered a defense thing.
Yeah,
it's like,
a lot of
it's a defending and attacking, but it's like, I don't know.
And it's kind of like a streamlined version of like those like Age of Empires and shit, where
kind of
you advance.
It's like Age of Empires meets like a side scroller.
Yeah, a lot of those games where it's like they took basic ideas from games and they really streamlined.
There's actually some really cool stuff hidden in a lot of these old gems.
Yeah, and the great thing is they're all there. If one site
they're not going away.
Yeah, if one site you liked shut down, like there's the thing, like Flash games would be appearing on everybody's website.
Yeah,
it was made
much.
on Armor Games. It's everywhere. It's from Addicting Games. It's fucking everywhere. There's like 6 sites that have the fucking game, and that was always really great. And what's interesting is when Flash games turned into series.
Yeah, a lot of the sniper games did that. The Clear Vision and Sniper Assassin.
Yeah, and there were actually quite a few Assassin games as well online. There are some formats I think that people stuck to: defense games, puzzle games, they're platformers.
No, I remember the you're talking about like the categories. Like you go there and you pick the category of game you want to play. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was like action. You ever played Dynasty Street?
No. What is that?
It was like it was actually a crazy game. It's like a side scroller. And you're a stick figure, but you basically like you have martial arts moves and you fight bad guys. It's like a beat 'em up, but you also have like guns that spawn in and stuff. And then there was, besides that, the adventure mode. You had like a brawl mode where they're just pitted in this level, and you have endless enemies, kind of waves of enemies coming in, and you get random drops and stuff. I'll show it to you. It's actually pretty fun.
Yeah. That was another thing about fucking Flash games, though, man. Is like, because they're on the internet, because they're not like games you pay for, they're not advertised. So I think everyone gets like a different Flash game experience because they just happened to find different things.
Yeah, right.
And that's so fucking cool about Flash game, because there are thousands.
It was like a Wonder Ball.
Yeah. Sure. Wonder Ball. But no, there are thousands and thousands of Flash games, and they're getting made all the time, and whether or not what you find is just really based on your luck and where you're looking. There are sites that are more popular than others, sure.
There were so many Flash games. There are so many Flash games that back in the day, I knew like 2 different people who had made Flash games and actually became famous for them.
That's pretty sweet.
It was like, I can't remember which one it was. It was some game that had to do with penguins. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think I played it and I didn't like it that much, but still, he made it and he was making money off it. I was like, God, this guy's in middle school. Like,
that's fucking great. All right, I looked it up. Flash games. Not Flash games, but fucking tower defense games.
Okay.
They kind of have their home in RTSs, and like strategy games on the computer. But standalone tower defense games really made their premiere on Flash.
Oh, okay.
So like they were part of other games, but
I was right.
Yeah.
Enthralling.
Such an uncomfortable word for some reason. Like, it feels so sexual to me. Like, Enthralling.
The past tense is even enthralled.
Consider yourself enthralled. I don't like that. But no. So my question to you is: do you think tower games? Oh, not tower games. What the fuck? you think Flash games serve like an important purpose in gaming? Like, do you think they have like a place, or are they just kind of there?
Well, like you said, I think they. Okay, I've got like two different answers.
Okay.
So I would support that and say yes. Mm-hmm. Given basically what you said earlier, that they're so accessible, and for kids like who don't have access to a lot of games, mm-hmm. It's there, you know. But like that's a thing. Like I'd say, like my second answer, I'd say it's kind of weird now in today's day and age, because back when we were kids playing this stuff, it made sense. Yeah. Because nowadays, like every other kid has a PS4, and the ones who don't have an Xbox One. And it's like, who's gonna play this shit anymore? So like.
And there's the one kid who has.
There's a reason we're the ones making this podcast, Mason. Like, they're just not relevant anymore. Like, it's hard. Like, it's kind of hard to say that, but like I feel like it's true. Like, they're certainly not as relevant as they were, say, 10 years ago. Yeah.
Well, I would say this. I asked you this. I already had an answer in my head, but I wanted to see what you had to say. In my opinion, I think Flash games, they're really great for a couple of things. I found out a lot of the kinds of games that I like a lot of the kinds of professional games that I like through Flash games. Like playing things like tower defense games.
Right.
Kind of showed me, it's like, hey, I kind of actually like strategy games. Mm-hmm. Games that have strategy elements. So, I'll play RTSs and stuff like that because I fucking played tower defense. And I was like, this is what I like. There were a lot of games that have like RPG elements, and it's like, hold up, I like this. And then so I'd seek out fully fleshed games that were kind of like that. And I think additionally, it's a great testing ground for game concepts. I think because money doesn't really go into Flash games the way that money goes into serious games. It's almost like a petri dish. Like you try it a little bit, and if it catches on, then you can do it in a big way later.
I totally agree with all the things you're saying.
And I think for developers, I think it's a great place to start. Because, like, let's say you made a shitty Flash game, right?
Yeah.
You have embarrassed nobody by doing that. Even if your fucking name's on it. Like, who made any of your favorite Flash? Who was involved in any of those games? You don't know. I don't. I feel kind of bad that I don't. But, like, you get to do something, you get to start somewhere, and you can suck, and you can kind of suck anonymously. Even if your name's on it, you still suck anonymously.
Yeah, but with all that said, wouldn't you say that the times are different and all those things, like, those are all really good points, and I highly agree with all of that. But do you disagree with what I said, how it's really not quite that case anymore? Like, it's not being utilized that way anymore. Like,
well, I'll say this.
Like, I haven't been on, a Flash game website, periodically in a long time, so I don't really know how many new ones are coming out anymore, but I kind of imagined it's got to be somewhat less. Like,
I mean, I'll check out Armor games and stuff periodically, and they're always bringing stuff on. What I would say is this. One of the, I was saying before, one of the awesome things about Flash games is because they're not advertised, you can find whatever you want, right?
Right.
And, like, what you find won't be the same as what everybody else finds. But I think because of that, you don't hear news about Flash games. You don't know what's doing well, what isn't. And I think it's easy for you and I to be like, oh, Flash games are going away, Flash games aren't relevant, because maybe in our lives they aren't anymore. Because I have money now. You have money now. I mean, neither of us have a ton of money. Right. But we actually have access to some form of income for the most part. We have our own consoles now.
Yeah.
Games that are ours, and we can go and we'd be like, oh, that looks interesting, we can actually buy it. And so maybe we're kind of past that time in our lives where Flash games are as great as they were. And so we can look at it and be like, oh, because there's no advertising, we don't really hear about it. It's like, oh, Flash games are
Well, I wasn't really speaking for us. No. I was speaking for, like, the new generations of kids, like, the kids who you know, at that the age they are, you know, that when we were at that age, you know, we were really getting into the Flash games. You know, like it's got to be less so.
Well, also I would say, even though both of us are actually quite poor, we live in a town.
We live in a van.
Well, we're broadcasting from a fucking van, but we live in a town. I would say where people aren't necessarily very poor. The town we live in, which we will not disclose, is actually in many ways a fairly affluent community. We live in kind of the shittier parts of that town, for the most part, I would say.
Kind of.
Like, we're in the dumpy half of kind of a rich town. So a lot of the people we know kind of have money and have that kind of access. But I mean, when I was a kid, I was fucking dirt poor. I had a next-gen console, which was the PS2.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a lot of games, so I was playing free games online. I feel like there's still plenty of people out there who don't have PS4, who don't have new games all the time, who don't have that kind of access, who...
So instead of playing a PS3 title, they're gonna go play a Flash game.
Well, who says they even have a lot of PS3 titles? I mean, let's
know,
yeah,
man.
you beat a game. What the fuck are you gonna do? You know, you wanna play something. You wanna get your fix. You wanna do something new.
I'm not trying to belittle Flash games.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not as hopeful about it. Like I have less faith in I don't know, man. It's just the new generation of kids are weird, man. I don't even, I don't talk to kids like
Hey there, what's up? Wanna hang out in the Anatomy of Game van? That doesn't go over well with parents. Don't try it. Yeah, we have a van.
I'm just saying, I don't know. Kids. I don't know how relevant Flash games are on the grand scheme of things anymore. Well, I think they're still. Yeah, I know they're still there.
Sure.
And their purpose is still ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, but
I would say this. If there's one thing I think getting in the way of Flash games, it's not next-gen consoles. It's fucking mobile games.
Well, yeah.
And that's something we're going to talk about. Mobile games, they do in part encompass the Flash game function. There are a lot of independent developers who make mobile games, who put out free, crappy games that they made for, no money.
Yeah.
And Crush. Well, Candy Crush is a multi-million-dollar thing now. It's ridiculous.
Well, I'm sure.
Unfortunately. But we're not even really talking about that as much as it's a lot of Flash games are mobile. A lot of games that are, you could play as Flash games are available on your phone.
Right.
Some of them are free, some of them are not.
Isn't Candy Crush a Bejeweled kind of thing?
I think so. I played it once. I did not like it.
I've never played it, but I think that's what
I didn't dig it. But, it's similar. It's nothing new or innovative. It's just, I guess it came around at the right time and just caught on like crazy. But no, it's a lot of Flash games and a lot of Flash type games now end up on the App Store. And because of that, you get most people have a smartphone at this point. It's one of those things it came free with my phone plan. So I got an iPhone basically given to me for signing on with my provider.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't have to pay anything. You could be poor and have a decent phone plan and get access to all these games. With the exception of mobile games, I would say are a lot worse. In not all mobile games, but I think the mobile game market it's not one for one the same as Flash games.
Well, I'd say the mobile gaming is doing good and bad for Flash games because you got to think about I remember years ago we mentioned Bloons Tower Defense, right?
Yeah.
I remember when the fourth one came out.
Mm-hmm.
It came out online and as a Flash game.
Yeah.
And they kept there were different franchises of Flash games that were doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Once mobile gaming was a thing, they started releasing their games for mobile somehow. I don't know how that works, but
mm-hmm.
and I feel like that got a lot of reach.
Sure. But then you look at kind of what a majority of Flash games are now, because I have an iPhone. I'll check out the App Store. A lot of it is the free-to-play garbage. Because, free-to-play it's a term that upsets me. Because I hear free-to-play, I'm like, yes! It's free! But to play, that's the key thing there. And a lot of it is Flash games, but a lot of it is or what some people call freemium. It's just the freemium shit on the App Store. And that's some of the most popular stuff. It's like, oh, look, it's kind of a cool little mini game. It isn't great, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, it takes 20 hours for this one action to be complete. Or I failed and I gotta wait a day to play again. Or I could pay $1 and play it again.
Yeah.
It's like the world's worst arcade machine. Because the game's not even that good.
It's not just mobile games who are doing that shit.
Yeah, no. Social games do that shit, too.
MOBAs do that shit.
Yeah, we'll talk about some MOBAs later at some point, I'm sure. But I would say that because of the way that mobile games are set up, I think people play less Flash games. Because a lot of mobile games are Flash games or are similar to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so people will go on their computers and be like, well, this would be so much easier on my phone.
Yeah.
And I have similar things on my phone, so why?
Well, can't you still go on Flash websites and play Flash games on a phone? Like,
not on an iPhone. It doesn't do Flash.
Really?
I don't know if Android does Flash.
See, I've never owned a smartphone, but I just figured it'd be smart enough.
Yeah, no, it's really fucking stupid. I mean, at the same time, like, what would you do? It's like, press fucking Alt to do this, or it's not Alt, but like, press Shift. Well, it's a touchscreen.
I guess so.
There's no keyboard,
I guess you're right.
So I mean, it wouldn't work. But no, that's why it comes out on the App Store and it's kind of formatted for your iPhone or whatever. But I think because of that, people will get on their computers and they'll be like, I have either this game or something similar to it available on my phone, and
which is portable.
It's portable. It's more convenient, honestly. Like, to boot up the internet on your fucking like. It's not super convenient when compared to just whipping out your phone and playing a game.
Yeah.
Even if the game's not as good. Like, I find myself doing that all the time. Like, I don't really want to boot up my computer and do a thing. It's like, I'd rather just look up something on my phone or, you know, do whatever I'm trying to do from my phone if possible. And is that, I don't even know if that's necessarily a bad thing. Because, times are going to change. The Nintendo Entertainment System didn't last forever.
No, it didn't.
And it should not have. I mean, I guess it kind of did with the classic overreaching nature of all those games where, like, we're still playing and talking about that shit today.
I guess, and, like, the new reiterations, like the, Super Mario Bros. Wii and stuff. It's still, like, the same game, just evolved.
But I guess what I'm getting at is eras have to end.
Mm-hmm.
You can't...
You wrote a song about that once.
I did. We're not talking about that. But an era will have to end at some point, and Flash games, like everything, part of an era.
Yeah.
I'd say, they did have their height maybe 5-10 years ago.
The golden years of Flash gaming.
Sure. And there's nothing wrong.
Would that be like 2002 to like 2007?
Sounds about right. I'd push that maybe to 2009.
Okay.
Maybe 2004 to 2009, because I didn't even fucking have broadband internet in 2002. I was still using dial-up at that time. So maybe it was golden age. Maybe golden age for somebody else, maybe. But there's nothing wrong with an era ending. Everything has to kind of end at some point, and that's the natural course of everything great. Everything great and everything mediocre has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And if Flash games are moving, or going away, and the advent of mobile games, which maybe I don't personally like as much, although there's still great stuff that you can get on mobile games.
I don't personally use.
Yeah.
Because I don't phone.
You don't phone?
No.
Duncan doesn't phone. But there's...
Damn phony Flash games.
Get the fuck out of here. Get out of the van.
It's my fucking van. This is the anatomy of van, alright? You have to deal with it.
No, it's not. But regardless, if Flash games are going away, I'm going to be sad about it.
Why do we keep finding the need to podcast about things that are going away?
I don't know, because we're a nostalgic asshole.
Alright. We this is great. We need to make a split screen Flash game. And put it all over the place, all over the world.
We were like, how the fuck do I play this? I have one we gotta create the keyboard splitter. Where it's like you can plug dual keyboard.
No, you just do it. No, you got the arrow keys and then the
WASD. There were a couple of games that were like that. I don't remember them, but
split screen Flash. That's crazy.
That would certainly be something. I mean, there are multiplayer. Territory War is a multiplayer Flash game. Local multiplayer Flash. It also has an online. It's pretty cool. You take turns. You know, like I said, we did it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a let's play of it. Probably won't, but maybe. Never say never.
It'd be interesting if we could accomplish such a thing.
Yeah. But, like I said, if it's going away, I'm going to be sad about it, but at the same time, I understand. It's one of those things where it's like, it's not like split-screen gaming where it necessarily makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like, split-screen gaming, I think, inherently makes sense.
Definitely.
It's like, okay, you got a game, you got a friend here. Split-screen is more of a concept. Flash games, to me, it's more of like a platform. Like, Flash is in itself a platform.
Yeah.
And platforms will always go away. Concepts and ideas don't always go away, but platforms and mediums often do.
Yeah, but
it's like people will always...
But computers will never go away. Like, I feel like it's not going to be the exact same thing as a console, you know, kind of reaching the end of its limit, but like I feel like it is going to... I don't know. I honestly don't know if I agree with you. I kind of feel like it might kind of fizzle, and then like I feel like it's always going to be there. But like
I think that stuff is going to move to consoles. That's honestly what I think.
What?
Consoles
Flash games on consoles?
No, it's not going to be Flash games, but like free games on consoles and on because now with digital games being how they are.
Well, that's already happening.
Yeah, but I mean like in a massive way. I think it's going to move to consoles and it's moving to phones. Because the way I see that is, you remember MMOs? Maybe you didn't play a ton of them. But a lot of those used to be in browser.
No, I never really played any MMOs, actually.
But there were quite a few of them that used to be in browser, like RuneScape. It was in your browser.
Yeah.
Now you got to download the game. Play a game online. From the internet, you got to download it onto your computer.
Well, like, because you're saying, like, Flash games that live on PC will eventually live on console?
Well, no. What's on PC will always be on PC.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to say.
But what I'm saying is, like, the medium of the free games, I think, will move to consoles and to mobile. And that's kind of where it's going to live in the future. Because you were talking about Flash games are starting to kind of fizzle out. And while I do see new Flash games all the time that are still great, still worth your time, I still play from time to time. You're right, there is a decline in, I'd say, the prevalence and the abundance of them.
You know what this makes me want?
What?
A plug-and-play Flash game.
That's
what they should do.
Plug and play.
We start make just hey, it worked in the past, man. Everyone bought plug and plays.
Like, let's take something that's way out the door and combine it with something that's coming out the door.
That'd be great. Because you remember how terrible plug and plays were, right? For the most part. And you know how great Flash games are?
Sure.
That's what they do. They just make a plug and play for every single Flash game and just throw them at everyone's face.
Be like 6 megabytes. Like nothing.
Actually, that'd probably be good because then you have to actually pay for a Flash game.
Yeah, but I mean, nostalgia.
It'd still be awesome.
Nostalgia dollars, you know. No, that actually sounds interesting. I don't think it's going to happen because plug and plays are kind of... No one's doing that anymore. But I will say, you said plug and plays were awful. Like, the plug and plays of classic games were actually fine. Like, you know, you get like Pac-Man.
Oh, yeah, where they're just like ports or like...
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool. Like the Atari collection plug and play, that kind of shit. I liked that. What I didn't like was, well, I kind of liked it, like the Walking Dead plug and play we had.
Yeah. It was actually a really advanced for a plug and play.
Yeah, we had this, man, we're getting way off topic.
Yeah,
whatever. I don't care. We had a light gun. And it was a Walking Dead light gun plug-and-play game that your dad found at, like, a store.
It was at an Ollie's.
An Ollie's, that's
which
weird.
Is like it's one of the stores where you can kind of just go in. They have, like, it's almost like... It's weird. They have, like, anything in there. It's, like, kind of like a dollar store, but, like, it's a little more expensive. Yeah. I think it's a store you can sell stuff to. And
it's an assorted crap kind of store. And it's not in a bad way. It's very interesting. Yeah, Ollie's... Shop at Ollie's. That's our plug for the show. Shop at Ollie's. No, but it was like, you know, sort of crap store. We found this fucking Walking Dead light gun game. It was great. It was also kind of garbage.
It was fun nonetheless. It was interesting that because I hadn't actually played a plug and play in forever, but you could point the the whole thing with the plug and play was a gun. You had like a shotgun looking thing.
Yeah.
And you plug that directly into your TV.
Yeah.
And then there was a like a battery powered sensor.
Yeah.
And so you aim at the screen, kind of like how the Wii works.
Mm-hmm.
And
it actually
it's
worked.
like an arcade game almost.
It was a light gun game, and it worked fairly well actually. But we're getting way off topic.
We are.
The Flash games as Walking Dead light gun games, right? No.
No.
Whatever.
No.
Whatever. No, but I would say this. Flash games, whether or not they're going away, they're kind of an oddity when you think about it. In a world of AAA game titles and games that spend millions of dollars, or studios that spend millions of dollars to make games, you can still go online and find a genuinely fun, engaging game that someone made for virtually no money, that no one's asking you to pay for.
Yep.
And oftentimes can be very original, innovative, memorable. Some of the best games I probably played as a child were Flash games.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
And I go back to some of those games, and they're still pretty great, a lot of them. So, if you're the kind of person who writes off Flash games, don't. Don't be an ass. Check it out. It's free games. Don't... who cares?
Don't be the perfect ass. Be the perfect cast.
Again, dude, we are 3 for 3. You have said that you have done the same fucking Goofy movie quote.
It's got to be my catchphrase.
No, it is not.
It's going to happen in every single podcast.
Oh, God damn it. But really, don't be an ass. Look, they're not cutting edge. They're not advanced games. They're fucking Flash games. Take it for what they are. They're fun. They're fun little games that are free. They're fucking free games. Like, where did we lose our way and be like, ugh, free game, ugh. Fucking free games!
I don't know, I guess it's just...
Enjoy it! So check them out. Just go on fucking Armor games. Go on Addicting games. If you haven't done it, or if you haven't done it in a while, check it out. You might have some fun, and it's free. It's fucking free! It's like, enjoy it, I don't know. I feel like... Because like we said... we kind of get to a point where people kind of stop talking about it. I remember in school in different computer classes, that was the one time Flash games ruled.
Yeah, definitely.
Even as like a teenager, or even
multimedia class and computer lab.
Going into even late high school. A few years ago, I remember like playing Flash games in computer-based classes, and they were still
because they were because they always tried to block the websites, but there were so many of them that like they couldn't keep track of them all.
And there were a couple of them that were intentionally named so that you could get on them. It's like,
yeah, that's right.
It's like education.
It's like they knew.
Yeah, educationalgames.com or whatever, and it was fucking like Stickman Sniper games and shit. Like it was not for education, but so schools wouldn't immediately block it. It's very clever.
Man, those were the days.
Oh, man, that was great.
I wonder what kids are doing nowadays. Like
porn in their computer classes.
That's what you think they're doing?
No.
It's like, okay, so like I remember in like elementary school and middle school, Flash games being relevant in like computer classes at school.
Yeah.
But in high school, I remember playing Halo Portable.
Mm-hmm.
Basically like just a port of Halo Combat Evolved, the original one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so if it went from Flash games to the original Halo, which at that point was still, it was dated, but like, man, next thing you know, kids are gonna be playing Gears of War
That'd be
in computer class.
Playing Grand Theft Auto. No, I will say this actually. In high school, this was several years ago, back when Minecraft, you could still play it in the browser.
Yeah, you can't? I thought you still could.
No, I don't think so. Because now you gotta have the launcher and everything, and
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, back when you could play Minecraft in the browser, I remember back in high school, I was doing that for a little bit.
That's crazy.
Playing Minecraft in the browser on my computer class. But I remember there was some stuff like Cookie Clicker, which is addicting like fucking crack.
Why does that sound so familiar?
It's I don't know if you would call it a Flash game. It's in Flash. It's like...
Well, what kind of game is it?
It's like an innate production game. Like, you click on... Okay, there's a cookie, and you click on it, and every time you click on it, you get one cookie. And then...
Yay, cookies.
Then you, with those cookies, which are the currency of the game, you buy a clicker.
Cookie currency.
Yeah, basically, you buy a clicker, and so it'll auto click for you like every 2 seconds or whatever.
So you auto click when you. There's so many C words in what you just said.
so you with the cookies, you can buy an auto clicker, right?
The cookie clicker currency.
God damn it! With the cookie, you buy an auto clicker, right? And so every like 2 seconds or whatever, it'll click for you. So you could minimize it. It'll click a little bit on its own.
So it's just one of those kind of like mindless background games, like
kind of, yeah. You just pop it up again. You buy some more stuff, and
it's one of those games you can kind of just minimize and check on it later, and kind of do what need be, then leave it alone.
You can buy upgrades and multipliers, and buy more. Like you get the clicker,
okay,
and then you get the grandmas who will bake like 2 cookies per second or whatever each.
2 cookies per second.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess
damn, I want that grandma.
I guess it's an average. Maybe she made a batch of like 30. And it takes, half an hour, or it takes like 15 minutes to bake them or whatever. So it's like technically it averages out 2 cookies per second or whatever.
Oh my god.
So she'll make 2 cookies per second, and then you get like the cookie farm, and it farms like 10 and it goes on, and it's like at the end you got like the fucking antimatter condensers, which condenses antimatter in the universe into cookie dough. And so like you're making like 30 trillion cookies per second.
That sounds nuts.
And you just and you're always buying multipliers and percentage upgrades.
Is there no limits?
There's no limits. Like
that's
by the end of it, you're making like quintillions of cookies per second. By the end of the
I remember Cube Field popping up a lot. Flash games. You ever play that?
No, I never heard of it. No.
There was actually a game that was free on the PlayStation Network somewhat recently, a few months ago, called I think it's called Race the Sun.
Okay.
Did you see that?
I didn't know, but tell me about it.
It was pretty close to Cube Field, but it's like it's a game where you're like on a track, kind of like how Star Fox is played, but you're like, I think you're a cube. I think you're a cube, but the point is there's like cubes everywhere, and like you're on like a track, right? You're going forward all the time, and you have to just kind of move side to side and dodge cubes, like. And it gets faster, and there's when the level changes, the color changes, and you get cubes of different sizes, and
interesting.
It's just a game of like quick reflexes.
Okay. Also, a lot of cool things that were on Flash were like not even games, but like toys. Like you play like Falling Sand.
What?
A lot of it was like. It's not really a game. Like there's no objective.
Oh, it's just like a. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's something you could find. Like Line Rider, that was another one, which actually became like a full game later.
There's one I have in mind. I can't. It's one where you've got basically like this dummy who kind of ragdolls around, and you just kind of
Interactive Buddy.
Yeah, yes, that one.
That's an old one too, man. Like,
that was
Napoleon Dynamite is in that game.
Yeah,
because that's how old it was. Interactive, but there were a lot of games like that where it was just like it wasn't really a game.
There was another one that was similar to that where you basically have one of those ragdolling dummies that's falling constantly, and you can click it and like drag him
around.
And he falls through like obstacles and stuff.
A lot of ragdoll games, a lot of physics kind of games.
Yeah.
And there's there were a lot of games that were kind of like that where it was like, well, it's not really a game per se.
What is it? It's not a simulator. It's
a toy. It's a Flash toy. It's basically what it's really what it is. It's a toy.
I guess so.
And I really actually like stuff like I think that was where a lot of that Flash creativity came from as well. It's just like making like non-games,
yeah, basically.
And it's weird because there's the occasional Flash game that made it into like being a real game. You remember Alien Hominid? No. I think it was Alien Hominid that was like it was a Flash game that they actually made like a full version for like you could buy for consoles and stuff.
That's crazy.
There's another one, Line Rider, which was you would literally draw lines on a screen, and then a guy on a sled would ride on your line, and you could turn it like a crazy roller coaster track or whatever.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they actually made like a PC full game for that you could buy at the store. I don't know what they did with that because it's pretty much all you need is right there. I
always like the drawing Flash games.
Yeah,
where you could.
Their creativity, man.
Yeah, right. It's kind of like how Minecraft is. Like you just kind of create something and see how the game interacts with it. What was the one that I showed you with the pen? The magic pen.
Yeah,
that's what it's called.
A lot of those like puzzle games did that a lot. Where it was like, okay, draw a thing and you draw mechanisms, and it was actually really kind of innovative and.
Yeah.
They were thinking games, and I kind of like that, because obviously Flash games are played by a lot of children.
Uh-huh.
Even, the ones that aren't meant for children, the bloody, gory fucking ones, still definitely played by children. It's a free game on the internet, they don't have to ask permission to play. It's definitely played by children. But, I liked those thinking games, because the kids are going to play those, it's problem-solving skills, it's all kind. So, there's an educational aspect
if there's, a extremely positive thing to say about Flash games, is it holds the most genres of games of all time.
I would agree with that.
If you want diversity in games,
go on a Flash game website.
Go on any Flash game website.
Yeah. Okay, but we're kind of nearing the end of our broadcast here. But there's one thing. We're talking about Flash games. There's one thing I think we should bring up, and I think we should take our hats off in respect.
We took our hats off.
Yeah, we did. You might have heard it. To newgrounds.com.
Ah.
Remember Newgrounds?
Yes, I remember Newgrounds.
Okay, poor fucking Tom, what's-his-face? Because he's the guy who made MySpace, and he's the guy who made Newgrounds.
Yeah, that's right.
And, the internet just kicks this shit out of his stuff. Everything he makes gets replaced. Because think about Newgrounds. Newgrounds was interesting because it was Flash games, it was also Flash movies.
Yeah.
And there really weren't a lot of places that were doing that. And I think Newgrounds launched in 99. So it was kind of really early on the trend. And
the thing is, when I learned about Newgrounds, when I actually had heard the name and discovered the website, I'm pretty sure it was after it had changed.
Yeah, really. Because, it's still there. You can go on Newgrounds.
Yeah, I know.
It's not good. But I mean,
and by Flash movies, are you talking about kind of the stuff you'd see like man-made
be like cartoons?
And, cartoons you'd find on YouTube and stuff
Yeah, because they were on Newgrounds first. I remember Newgrounds created some of the first internet viral videos before we called them viral videos. Remember I think the Star Wars gangster rap was on Newgrounds.
Have you ever seen Nintendo?
I might have, yeah. There were a lot of parodies on Newgrounds.
Yeah.
A lot of crazy cartoons. But of course, it wasn't. I mean, it was technically it's a video that they put in Flash, which is why it looks so fucking bad, I think. But I mean, the granddaddy of all viral sensations, the Numa Numa video.
Oh, that was on Newgrounds.
Newgrounds, yeah.
Huh.
It was really their first big internet.
And that was done in Flash.
I mean, technically, it was a video they put in Flash, I think. So because everything on Newgrounds is Flash, which is why one of the reasons it looks so shitty. Also, I think it was done on a webcam, so.
Right.
So it doesn't help. Because you remember, audio and video in Flash was always kind of shitty. Especially audio. It always just sounded really bad.
Yeah.
It's gotten better over the years, but...
I gotta say, there's some weird shit on Newgrounds.
Well, I think
when I say weird, I mean, weird.
Well, I think
out there stuff,
one of the things is, YouTube kind of showed up, and it took all of Newgrounds' kind of video aspect away, because YouTube became, the home of internet videos. And it was cartoons that you might have seen on Newgrounds, had YouTube not been created, but also live action stuff, which there wasn't a lot of on Newgrounds because it's difficult to do that with Flash.
Right.
And then Flash games started to snatch up kind of the traffic for their games because, let's be honest, Newgrounds had games, but it wasn't really known so much for its games. But I think what hurt Newgrounds more than anything, I think, was the fact that there was porn on Newgrounds.
Yeah.
That sounds opposite, it's the internet. You think, oh, porn's going to make it popular. But I think the internet knows that you can't mix family-friendly things with porn on the same website and expect to be popular.
Yeah.
Because Flash games, once again, who plays Flash games? A lot of kids.
Kids, yeah.
Not to say that adults don't.
We're adults. We play Flash games.
We're 21-year-old men. We definitely play Flash games. But videos as well, silly cartoons. Kids also watch those. And even now, I mean, children make up a huge part of YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's true.
Adults definitely watch YouTube as well, but still a lot of kids on YouTube. And you got stuff that's fine for kids to watch, like Numa Numa. It's fine. A lot of those games are fine. And there's just kind of porn mixed in. And
it's not a good mix.
No, it's not a good mix. I think a lot of parents don't let their kids on Newgrounds. Or I guess now parents are like, what the fuck's Newgrounds? But
yeah, true.
Or worse yet, back in my day, I remember Newgrounds. I mean, because shit, that was 17 years ago that it launched, so...
Yeah, instead of porn, maybe if they have like cooking shows on there.
Well, maybe it would have stuck a little longer. But think about it this way: if you were 13 when Newgrounds launched, you're like what? I don't know. 17 years ago. So if you were 13, 17 years ago, you're 30.
Yeah.
So I mean, Newgrounds, it's old. Internet old. It's ancient for the internet.
Yeah, it is one of the. Yeah, it's definitely.
But it's one of those things because kids can't go on Newgrounds. I mean, they can. I did. If my parents had known what was some of the shit that was on Newgrounds that I had kind of stumbled upon by accident, they probably would have never let me on that site again. But so I think flash game websites that weren't putting porn up kind of took that, and YouTube took that, and so now, and I think Newgrounds suffered for it.
I think that's one of the. Cause remember when YouTube came around? It was like I remember being really skeptical. I think everyone was skeptical of YouTube right when it came out, and I think it was because of websites like Newgrounds. Like no one really knew what YouTube was going to become until it became what it became. Yeah. But like, I think there were a lot of websites like that at first.
Yeah. I mean, I remember there were a few. AdamFilms.com was another one. Like Dailymotion still kind of goes on.
I haven't heard about that website in so long.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it still exists. But
that one's porn related as well.
Is it?
Dailymotion? Yes, it is.
Is it porn related?
Yeah, there's porn on Dailymotion. For sure.
I was gonna say, like, that's not a fucking porn site, but I guess, like, the old internet, like, it mixed that shit all the time.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, I think because things are like that,
it just leads for inconsistency.
Yeah, and I think people want consistency. People go on YouTube, and YouTube will have R-rated content, but it won't have like hard R-rated content.
If you want consistent porn, you go to a porn website. If you want consistent videos, you go to YouTube.
Sure, yeah, but I think the internet wants things separated like that. Like we're talking about, like at store Ollie's, it has a little bit of everything. The internet doesn't like that. The internet does not want a website that's just kind of a mishmash of everything.
Well, that's kind of like what social media is, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still.
I guess that's the exception.
Yeah, social media is still its own category. You know what I mean? Like you're networking with people. You are putting that content on the site, but the actual site itself is the social media networking site. So
yeah.
But regardless, flash games
doesn't get talked about much.
No, and here we are. We spent over an hour talking about flash games. But I think that was a good conversation.
I think I'm going to go play a flash game.
Yeah, I think I kind of want to do that. Like I said,
I'll show you Dynasty Street.
You must. So, once again, if you don't play flash games, you should. Check it out. Don't be a dick. It's free games. Be happy. Be excited. You might find something you like.
Yeah! Yeah! Hooray!
Hooray! Hurrah! This has been Mason.
This has been Duncan.
And you just watched
The Anatomy of Game.
Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit subscribe or like or whatever, or just comment and say you liked it. Tell somebody that you liked it. You know,
or just click the refresh button and watch it again.
Yeah, watch it 8 more times. If we said anything wrong in this video, send us a letter, I guess,
or two, one to each of us.
Yeah, one with money enclosed. Or, put a comment.
Put it like a sticker on mine.
Yeah.
Something to make me smile.
Yeah. He needs it. But, like, if we said anything wrong in the video, comment. Say something. Because, we don't like to be wrong. If we said anything that was factually incorrect, whatever, put out a comment. Tell us how much we fucking suck.
Do it.
But
enthrall us.
I don't like that. But again, thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.
Stay golden.